Hello gorgeous, and welcome to your weekly messages. I want to say thank you to everybody that came on my first e-retreat this week. It was a really remarkable experience. Such a beautiful group of people and such a lovely energy, but such a huge amount of growth for myself and for individuals that I felt as well. It's new information, and what became very apparent. I want to thank everybody here now too, because I felt more than ever the asking and receiving aspect of everything that I do, which is your desire for the answer, your questioning, or your call creates this work from me. And so your presence here now is extremely important. And the time travel aspect, in that you're watching this after I'm recording, but you are here now, is miraculous. So these are my old special Rider-Waite Centennial Edition tarot cards. And I'm going to pull us 4 cards for this week for health, wealth, love, and evolution. If you would like a full masculine feminine reading, the monthly for December is up here on this channel. If you would like the weekly masculine feminine energies, then they are available over on Vimeo. All links in the description. Right. So, but for our health, wealth, love, and evolution cards for this week, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, there's some big energy here. That would be you though. So, first card for health is the Star. Wow, this is interesting. This is speaking to the placebo effect, to the power of belief. And it's saying, if you can believe health, you will experience health. If you essentially tune into health, you can experience it. When we feel sick, when we are sick, we create the desire for, or we experience the desire for health. But that is the most important aspect of healing. That doesn't mean that we bypass our experience and pretend that we're not sick. It doesn't mean that you just go, oh, I'm going to focus on health, and because I'm focusing on health and believing health, that means that I'm not sick. That's not what it is. In all the work that I do, it has become apparent, and it's just the way that all the work that I do in my personal readings and coaching, and working in depth with people, there are certain rules that are always there. And that first one, it's a big one. We can't get to where we want to go if we're not aware of where we are. Even if that's just a perception, quote unquote, we can't ignore our perception of the current reality. So first you must embrace and accept the current reality, and then believe or allow the desire or the vibration for health to be the most important thing. And sometimes the former is more important. I would have to say that actually I think people are good at knowing what they want, but they're not necessarily that great at being where they are. So I call that presence, and that's a huge part of what I feel like I help people to do. There's a secondary message about healers and healing. True healers see you as already whole. They don't tell you that you're not healed, and that they can. I would beware of people that are not focused on your being always whole, because that's part of what I was saying, in that we can be whole where we are. We can be whole in our perception of illness. So then we can move more effortlessly into the experience of wholeness in health. But if we're resisting what is happening, quote unquote, then we lose our ability to experience ourselves as the creator of our reality. It's like a GPS system, but if you don't know where you are, you can't get to where you want to go. And working with anybody in any healing modality, if you're trusting somebody with working with your health, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, it's very important that they have a vision of you as whole and healthy, exactly where you are and in where you want to be. Wealth card for this. Wow, look at these major arcanas coming up. The wealth card for this week is the Empress. The Empress, this divine, feminine, earthly, powerful, abundant energy. I'm in Mexico at the moment, and she's in a cornfield. Corn is a big part of the culture where I am, and it's abundance. It's natural abundance. It's abundance from the earth. It's abundance from our being alive. I love her crown of stars. It's as though the heavens sit upon her head. It's also saying that it's a feminine energy, and it's saying that there's a lot of abundance in the feminine energy this week. That's where this endless experience of abundance is available. Love card for this week is the Page of Swords. Interesting. The Page of Swords is a youthful energy, an innocent energy. Swords are intellect, speech, communication, thinking. And the Page of Swords energy, he swipes away that which he is not in alignment with. And he doesn't really have much thought or care for the consequences of his speech or action, or speech or action, or his beingness, really. And I think the beingness is the important message with this Page of Swords, because we might hear that story and say, oh, that's not good. We should think before we act. We should think before we speak. We should be mindful of the consequences of our actions, especially towards other people. But sometimes this energy is just what's happening. It can be useful. It cuts through. It's very honest. It doesn't think before it acts or speaks. But sometimes that's the fastest way to get to where we need to go. How does that play out practically in relationships in this love position? It means that we're going to be maybe experiencing a bit of conflict, or maybe feeling wounded as though we are the one doing the wounding or the one being wounded. So you may want to keep a low profile. You may want to step out of the arena, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong or no judgment about this Page of Swords. He is a useful energy. It is a useful energy. So don't be afraid of this energy, but you don't have to be wounded. You can either take yourself out of the arena or you can just prepare. So it's saying that you might have some harsh words. Some harsh words may be spoken. But sometimes words that feel harsh can be useful. They can cut to the chase. They can speak the truth without fear of repercussions. And that can be sometimes a very powerful tool in communication. It's an interesting dynamic here between that Page of Swords and that Empress, though. So it might be coming more from the masculine side to the feminine side. It does look as though that Page of Swords is looking at the feminine energy. It could arise as some masculine, force against the feminine. Not against the feminine, but it's kind of saying to me that it might come a little bit more from the masculine side towards the feminine, just because of the way they're positioned like that. But that's not a good idea in terms of that feminine being the abundance, you see. But it may be that it's even us thrashing and not being comfortable with the perfection of life and the abundance of life. I mean, these are two very powerful cards here, the Star and the Empress, and it feels like this Page of Swords is saying, maybe I'm not worthy. Maybe it comes from that fear. The fear that maybe I am not enough. Well, you are enough. You are more than enough. You are absolutely perfect and beautiful. Even when it feels as though we make mistakes and hurt people. And the evolution card for this week is Death. Wowzers, look at this. This is cool. Death is all about transformation. And I've experienced a lot of transformation this week. I'm looking forward to even more of it, but it requires some hefty commitment to our experience, this Death card. So this is about how we are evolving to become more. And Death is about transfiguration. It's about huge transformation. It's not all challenge. There's a lot of colour in this Death card, especially on that right-hand corner. Some really interesting imagery, which I find very interesting. I do not have an adapter piece for my tripod, which is why this is freehand. Next week it will be different. But one of the great things that I do like about recording freehand is I can really show some of the detail in the cards and use the imagery. And so look at these children, and look at the priest figure. It's saying we have to surrender. This guy looks like a very high priest figure. Oh, sorry, light's having some fun. A very high priest figure. So it's almost as though no matter how holy are our ideas, death is inevitable. Actually, suffering is part of life. It's part of our transformation, of becoming more. And I had this realization. I was actually at dinner. A friend is visiting and brought some friends with her, and that I haven't met before. So I met lots of new people. And I sat next to this beautiful being, woman, and she's a very strict vegetarian, and mostly for ethical reasons. And we were talking about the suffering of animals, and it's something that I am very reactive to as well. And I had this realization when I arrived home about how suffering is part of life. And we had this conversation. We're talking about when animals are suffering and you can't take their suffering away. You can't save everybody. And I do believe that desire to quell suffering is really about our own suffering. Also, it doesn't really matter whether it's in somebody else or within ourselves. Suffering is a necessary part of life. It's a necessary part of transformation. It's not even necessary. It just is. we must assume it is necessary because it exists. And it's not about pretending that things aren't difficult, but it is about staying present, understanding that we can be victorious and something victorious is happening, and allowing victory in change and victory in death itself, and that a new day dawns because the sun sets, the sun rises. That sunrise in that card. And even these children, there's this figure on the ground who looks very, very dead indeed, and the children are there, and it's saying, I feel like it's saying, don't fear death, don't fear change, don't hide it from those that you love. Allow it to transform. Allow it to really show you reality, and allow the victory of reality over what you might desire. In that same vein as we can only get to where we want to go when we accept where we are. And if we resist and fight death and change, then it makes that very difficult. Thank you very much for being here. I'm holding a peace meditation for the solstice on the 21st. Just came to me. There's something, what I love about the solstice is that it's the balance. It's about balance and equilibrium, and this is a huge part of these experiences of death, death and life, lightness and darkness, light and dark. And I feel very connected to these solstice equilibriums. So yes, I'm passionate about peace. Peace has been something that has just been moving through me, and I think it's what we all seek. So it's peace within ourselves, which is part of that acceptance, but also peace for the earth and all beings. I think it's a very important intention that sometimes can get lost because we get lost in stories and we forget that is, I believe that is a desire of all. So if you're interested in that, the link is below. If you would like the masculine feminine weekly reading, I'm really interested to see, because it seems like there's some interaction here in these masculine feminine energies. I'm going to record this straight afterwards, straight now. And then the monthly masculine feminine is up on this channel too. Thank you so much for being here. I also offer personal readings and coaching, so that's always available too. Thank you so much. Your presence makes this reading possible, and please don't underestimate the power of your focus, love, and intention. You are such an important part of life, and part of my life, and part of the all. We can't be what we are without you. So don't forget that. Loads of love. Have an incredible week. For those that are masculine and feminine, would like to see what's going on with masculine and feminine, I'll see you in a second over on Vimeo. Love you lots. This week's masculine and feminine reading is all about bridging the gap between the spiritual and the material. How do we manifest our spiritual reality in our physical reality together? See you in a sec.